Hello, YouTube. I am here. So thanks for joining me for my very first YouTube Live. I apologize for being a minute or so late. YouTube did something weird on me. I swear I set it up with my to go from my laptop webcam. But then when I went to start it, it was like, oh, we're waiting for your mobile to connect. And I'm like, wait, what? My mobile? So hopefully this is working properly because this is not going how I tested it yesterday. I didn't have to use my cell phone yesterday. But hopefully someone's out there and can hear me and see me. So I see another Heather in the group. Hi, hi, welcome. Thanks for being here. I thought we would do a couple of things on this YouTube Live. So it is coming up on the end of the year. So I thought that I would share my New Year's Eve 12 by 12 and that I would, oh good, I'm getting some thumbs up. I'm assuming that means I am not speaking into the ether. Yay! So I thought I would share my plans for the New Year's Eve 12 by 12 and my WIPGO board, perhaps, maybe. And then depending on time and whether people truly are, oh, thank you, Dylan, whether people truly are interested, then we can just stitch and chat. So let's start with New Year's Eve 12 by 12. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, this was started by Kia B and Pam from Pam and Steph. And the original version was to choose 12 new starts. And you start at noon on New Year's Eve, and every hour on the hour you start a new start. I guess I should back up a little bit and explain why I'm choosing the way that I am choosing to go. So I am not doing 12 new starts. I have enough patterns, I could, but I filmed my whip parade yesterday, and so that'll go live. I might do like a YouTube premiere version of it, maybe on Friday the 30th, kind of right at the end of the year. We'll see, but that'll be going up later this week. And in doing that, I kind of counted up and I have 22 whips, which isn't bad. But it's enough that I thought to myself, I think for New Year's Eve 12 by 12, I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna do halvesies. So I chose 6 of my whips and then I pulled out 6 new starts that I will be stitching on New Year's Eve beginning at noon. So I thought I'd start the live today by sharing with you my 12 by 12. And then we'll go into my WIPGO because I do have 22 whips. It's funny, at the start of the year, I had maybe 3 whips. And then I started my floss tube in February of 2020. And the floss tube new start squirrel is a legit real thing. Between watching floss tube and then stitching and doing my floss tube and sort of following the cross stitch world more closely than perhaps I did before I started my floss tube, there's so much wonderful stuff out there, as I know you all know. So I'm preaching to the choir here, I am sure. So I have 22 whips now at the end of 2022. So I thought it might be fun to do WIPGO in 2023 for the first time. I've never done it before. But let's start with the New Year's Eve 12 by 12. I'm rambling too much and not talking or not showing, you know what I'm trying to say. So 6 new starts, 6 whips. I'm alternating. My schedule I put together, I think I tried to make it something that would be manageable. So like all of my smaller fabric counts are earlier in the day before I start getting too tired. So at noon, I am going to start and spend an hour on my whip of Hive Rules. And I hope these are, again, I've never done this on my phone before, so I hope that you are seeing this not backwards. And if you are, I apologize. But I'm gonna work for an hour on Hive Rules, which is on a 40 count honey. And this is where I'm at right now. So I hope that in an hour I can get the rest of the text here and maybe a couple of the motifs in that second band done in that first hour. Because, I mean, I'm just gonna be watching football and bowl games and things on New Year's Eve. I don't have any special plans. So that'll be the noon to 1 hour, and that's a whip. Then at 1 o'clock, first new start comes out, and that is, oh, I forgot to take it out of the bag. Hopefully there won't be a bad glare. Yeah, not too bad. Pumpkin Spice Everything Nice by New York Dreamer Needleworks. and I'll work on this for an hour. I love everything pumpkin. Pumpkin pie, pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin scones, pumpkin muffins. If it has pumpkin in it, I will eat it or drink it. So of course I had to pick up that pattern. So that'll be during the 1 o'clock hour. In the 2 o'clock hour, I am going to work on Modern Folk Embroideries, Here Be Dragons, which is basically a new start. It's not, it's a WIP, but I just started this last weekend. Well, I guess the weekend of the 17th of December. And all I got in was about 30 stitches in the border. So it's essentially a new start, but it's got 30 stitches in it. So it's not a new start, it's a WIP. And this is the Evertote kit for this pattern. So it's on Evertote 36 count linen in the color Cat's Paw, Cat Paw, Cat Eye, Cat Paw, I think. Nope, Cat Nap, totally wrong, Cat Nap. And Leo and Roxy flosses as well. Aloe, that's fine. That it's a big idea right now. You've got a whole week. I was bored earlier this week, so decided to pull it all together. So that will be, what am I on now? 2 o'clock. So that's my 2 o'clock WIP start. Next, time for a new start. And I am going to pull out a spring stitch and get started on this pattern that I have owned for probably close to 10 years. Stitchy Kitty, Easter Kitty Moon. So this will be a new start. I don't know why I've waited so long to do these. I think because even though it's only 51 by 50 stitches, there are like 11 different colors of fabric. There's Krynic, there's Whisper, like this one's probably gonna get on my nerves, but it's really pretty and I don't have very many Easter stitches. So I decided to put that in my 12 by 12 as a new start. So what are we on now? 12, 1, 2, 3. So at 4 o'clock, back to a WIP, another tiny count fabric. Hopefully I won't be totally exhausted then. Actually, I need to pull this up over here. So at 4 o'clock, I'm going to revisit my Halloween Quaker, which I started at on September 3rd. This is a stitch along with Bridget, the museum stitcher. And anyone is welcome to join if you're not familiar. Lila's Studio Halloween Quaker. Sorry, my light is showing up too. This is so gorgeous and it's so huge. So we started this on September 3rd. This is the Spooky Quaker Sal. If you have this pattern and want to stitch along with us, please join. I didn't iron anything before we started, so everything, my fabric's a big giant mess. But this is all I have done on this so far. But I love the tiny little intricate stitches. It's so pretty. I started in the bottom right corner because there were small, tiny motifs there that I felt like would make me feel like I was making progress because I wouldn't spend forever on like one of the large motifs that's in one of the other corners. So I could get some things done fairly quickly. I really have only stitched on this about 3 days so far, so hoping to make some good progress in an hour on that. Then the next pattern is a new start. Unfortunately, I can't show it because there's no model. It was a pattern I bought off Etsy and literally the whole pattern is just the chart. But it is for my daughter and it is that meme saying, I'm sure you've heard it before, my daughter loves languages. She wants to study languages for her career. So it's a cute little sampler with little trees and houses at the top, and then the words, tell someone you love them today because life is short, but shout it at them in German because life is also terrifying and confusing. She wants me to change the word German to Dutch because she says Dutch actually has harder consonant sounds than German. Future linguist there telling me what's what with languages. So yes, so I will start that. It's a very simple chart. I'll probably get a lot done in an hour because it's mostly words and word stitch quickly. So I apologize that I can't show the chart, but it wasn't free and I don't have a model stitch of it to show instead. But that is what I will be working on after that. I've totally lost count of what time of the day we're at now on New Year's Eve, so I'll just keep on going. So that's a new start. After the new start is back to WIPs. And my next WIP after that is everybody's favorite Lola Crow cross stitch haunted library. I only have this in digital pattern, so I'm just, whoa, Zoom went crazy. So I'm just pulling this up on my iPad. I use Markup RXP for my digital patterns. So if you have not seen this pattern before, I don't know where you've been. Clearly not on FlossTube or Instagram for the last like 5 months. But I feel like everybody was stitching this pattern. I know there are a few FlossTubers I watch who blame me for getting them started on it. I'll take that blame because it's a gorgeous pattern, and why not? So I didn't get, the sale is over, so obviously I didn't stay caught up, but I didn't even stay close to caught up. I have this side of the staircase done. No, I have the other side of the staircase done. Sorry. I have this side of the staircase done. And I have the skeleton here stitched and the 3 books above his head. And I've made the turn onto the landing, but that's all that I have stitched. So this one still has a lot of work left to go on it. But I will stitch this for an hour on New Year's Eve as well. Anyone else doing 12 by 12? Anyone else sort of? This is new for me. I didn't know about this last year, so I'm kind of having fun with it. I'm excited. We'll see if I even stay awake, because I'm usually the type of person, before I had a teenage daughter who stayed up too late, I'd be like in bed by 10 o'clock and like asleep by 10:30. But I'd be up at like 5:30 or 6. But I'm not typically a night owl. So we'll see. Best laid plans. We'll see if I get through this or not. My new start after Haunted Library is going to be mini Christmas motifs from Tiny Modernist. This was an exclusive design for the Jingle Ball that was held the first weekend of December. And I do intend to stitch this as shown here as one big pattern, but then I might go back and stitch some little ornaments like shown in the little vignette photo there for my eventual goal of having a Christmas tree in my house that is just all stitched ornaments. So this will be my new start here. I even bought the polka dot linen because I just thought it was so cute on the chart. So I bought the little polka dot linen from Lindy Stitches. The pattern is from Tiny Modernist. And yeah, so it feels a little weird to be throwing a Christmas pattern. Oh, that's making a lot of noise, sorry. A little weird to be throwing a Christmas pattern in a New Year's Eve stitch, but you know, whatever. There are no rules in cross stitch. We can do what we want, right? No cross stitch police. So by this point, I think that's my 8 o'clock start. New Year's Eve, for those of you who don't know, I guess I should back up a little bit. I live in Northeast Ohio, in the Cleveland area. I went to the Ohio State University for graduate school. So I am a Buckeye, and the Buckeyes are playing in the College Football Playoff Championship Series. The semifinal games are on New Year's Eve. I think the Buckeyes game starts at 8 o'clock. So at 9 o'clock, hopefully I will not be bringing the team bad luck with this. So I'll be working on this pattern, which I started for the Ohio State-Michigan game, which we lost, sadly. So honestly, I did contemplate, like, should I stitch on this during the playoff game? Or like, you know, I'm a sports fan. We have weird superstitions. So, but I decided I'm not that superstitious. So I'm going to work on this during the Ohio State-Georgia game on New Year's Eve. And this is where I got to during the Ohio State-Michigan game. So a little less than halfway done. And we'll see what I can get done in an hour during the 9 o'clock hour stitching on this. If there are any other Buckeye fans watching, go Bucks. So then 10 o'clock, if I'm still awake, if I am not crying into my stitching because the Buckeyes are playing poorly, which they won't. They'll be amped up. They'll be ready to take down the #1 seed. So at 10 o'clock, I am going to start Cottage Garden Samplings, Year in the Woods, The Reindeer. I watched a lot of people stitch these patterns last year. So many of them are so beautiful. But this is the only one that I've purchased because look at those antlers. How could I not? He is just stunning, and he's beautiful, and he's a great winter stitch. He can be up all season. Love him. So I'm going to start him at 10 o'clock. And at 11 o'clock, I am going to go complete opposite and go summer and work on my Firework Kisses WIP, which if you are a regular viewer of my channel, I started this on July 3rd, so the weekend of July 4th. I stitched on it on July 3rd and 4th, and then I stitched on it on the 4th of each month, August, September, October. And then I kind of forgot about it in November, blew right by it in December. So I figured it would go in my 12 by 12. I might finish this in the hour because I really only have the rest of the word kisses, firework, and then 5 stars at the top, and then it's done. That's on a 32 count. Hopefully my eyes won't be too tired. I mean, I don't really ever stitch on anything really lower than 32 count. So we'll see. I'm making a giant mess on my floor right now. I'm surprised I don't have cats crawling all over it. And then at 11 o'clock, my final new start of the New Year's Eve 12 by 12, which I forgot to unzip, apologies, is also Cottage Garden samplings from their new series, the Snowman Collector series. Some of you probably know what I'm about to pull out. Well, I guess not, because the second one's released too, but I will not be stitching the second one. I don't have a fear of clowns, but I'm not wild about that pattern. But I am going to be starting the Needleworker, which is number 1 in the series. I'm trying to avoid the glare here. I mean, seriously, he's so adorable. So this will be my 11 o'clock start. And I chose him to be my final one because I apparently don't do math well. And I was like, oh, 12 by 12. So the last one I'll be starting at midnight. Like, that's awesome. And so I was like, well, great. This is a perfect way to start in the year with stitching, just do the Needleworker Snowman. It'll be perfect. And then I was watching Pam and Steph's holiday special, and they were talking about how, like, no, you'll start your last one at 11 p.m. And like a 4-year-old, I literally sat and was like, wait, 12, 1, 2. Yeah, no, they're right. You'll start the last one at 11 p.m. And be done. So I was like, oh, well, so I guess that won't be my New Year, new start. So then I was like, well, I could just go to bed like a sane person, but what's the fun in that, right? So I decided to, and I can't see who actually is online, so I don't know if she is, but Jen, the backcountry stitcher, will know I like flood her comments all the time because she is working on this pattern, and I get very excited every time she pulls him out. And I finally caved. My New Year's new start, even though I have never ever done a full coverage piece before, I think I will hate it, but also hopefully will love it, is from the cross. Oh no, ooh, look at that. I almost showed you the chart. Come on. Why is my iPad frozen on me now? There we go. Drake the Warrior Kitty from the Cross Stitch Studio. If any of you watch Jen, the backcountry stitcher as well, you have seen her working on him. I mean, come on. Look at that little face. How can you not love him? So this is what I am going to work on as my New Year's Eve new start, assuming that I can get all the floss and the fabric in time. Yay. I am terrified and excited. All up. The little face. Okay. And then maybe perhaps Jen will like be like, yay, now you won't yell at me every time to like bring out Drake. Let me see Drake, because I love Drake. He's so cute. So those are my 12 by 12 plans. Tune in the new year to see whether I actually make it or not. Yeah. So let me know, like, is that enough? Should I just stitch and let y'all like watch me stitch and talk, or should we do WIPGO? One other thing I wanted to share, those of you who follow me on Instagram would have seen me post this, but I'm really good at starting new things, and I'm really good at when I finish something, putting it in my little finishes box and then kind of forgetting about it. So one of the goals I set for myself this year was to learn to finish things a little bit more. I'm spoiled rotten. those of you, again, who are regular watchers of my channel know my parents are very talented and crafty as well. My mother used to do custom framing, so like I'm spoiled rotten. Like when I finish something that I want framed, I can just give it to my mom. I might have to wait a while, but I'll get it back, right? And it'll be beautifully framed, and she's phenomenal. But I'm challenging myself to like do things more myself now. So this is a recent finish that I finished recently. I know I didn't like that was beautiful grammar. So this is Christmas Is by Lizzie Kate that I finished over the summer. My mom cut some mat board for me. I got this really cool shadow box frame at Michael's. They were on sale. Like buy one, get one 50% off or something like that. And they weren't that expensive to begin with. So I chose some fabric. I'm trying to kind of hold it. So I chose some backing fabric from my mom's fabric stash. And she cut some mat boards for me. And so I mounted those up. And then I just got this greenery again at Michael's. It was a big long garland, so I just cut it down to fill kind of that bottom space. And the bow was an addition on Christmas Day. We just sort of slapped it on there because I don't know why. I think it fell out of the bag or whatever that we were putting all of our bows in. So that is a recent FFO. I don't have very many FFOs, but hopefully I'll get better about that. Moving on. So that is kind of where I'm at with that. So let's just talk WIPGO, I guess, right? As I mentioned earlier, this will be my first year doing WIPGO because I do have so many WIPs, which I'm okay with. I stitch, I'm a moody stitcher, and I stitch to enjoy the stitching, right? It's kind of my downtime, my quiet time. So I'm not focused on the end product unless it's something that I'm stitching as a gift for someone that like has a deadline. But otherwise I just stitch for the enjoyment of stitching, which I know might drive some of my viewers crazy, like please finish something. But that's sort of the goal of doing WIPGO, is I do have some that are pretty close to being finished. And then I also have really large ones like Halloween Quaker where I just want to make some good progress. So I did decide to go ahead and do WIPGO this year. And I'm going to see, hold on, I have my computer down here and I kind of want to I don't want to lose my live stream in case some of you are commenting. So I want to be able to like have my WIPGO pulled up, but also be able to still see. And for whatever reason, like managing a computer today is like not my strong suit. So there we go. That way I can still see if anybody comments and be able to answer. So I'm not going to show you sort of where I'm at on all of these WIPs. I'm just going to kind of tell you what they are. I'll show you the pattern, like the chart, so you can see what it is. But I'll obviously be continuing my floss tube in 2023. So I'll be sharing my progress and sort of where I'm at on each of these pieces in my regular floss tube episodes. So I'll just kind of go through the 25 patterns that I chose for my WIPGO board. We'll kind of whip through it really quickly. So number one on and I guess maybe I should back up. Does everyone know what WIPGO is? Because I didn't last year. People were talking about WIPGO boards. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? I shouldn't even say last year. I should say earlier this year. But WIPGO was started by Jessie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff. And it was, it's a play on bingo, hence WIPGO. And it was what she created as sort of an incentive / motivational system to complete and make progress on her WIPs, her works in progress. And so you put together a board of however many WIPs you want. It can be 25 different ones. If you give yourself the free space in the middle, it's 24. It could be 12 that you put on a couple of times. No real rules, right? Your board, your rules. And then on the 25th of each month, she uses a random number generator to draw 2 numbers for the next month. So yesterday, on Christmas Day, bless her, I'm making the assumption she celebrates, perhaps she doesn't. But she drew the first 2 numbers, which will be the 2 projects that you work on in January. And it's not meant to exclude you from working on anything else, but you put, and as you'll see as I go through my board, you sort of choose a WIP, you assign it a number, and then you assign a goal for that WIP. And then the goal is to get a blackout by the end of the year on your WIPGO board to have completed all of the goals that you set for yourself. So let's jump in. That's the background on WIPGO for those of you who maybe are unfamiliar with it. And so number one on my board is Let's Rejoice by Imaginating Ink. This is a piece that I started on the first Sunday of Advent this year. So that was that Sunday after Thanksgiving. I worked on it that day. I worked on it yesterday on Christmas Day. And I worked on it a little bit this morning. And I'll probably work on it some more today as well. But it's pretty much a fully backstitched piece. Some piece, like some here, the Merry Christmas, and actually I think it's only the Merry Christmas. Well, and the Dove's Eye have full cross stitches, but everything else is backstitched. And I just thought it was so pretty. This was a model in my local needle workshop, which is just stitching, or just cross stitch, sorry. Just Cross Stitch is the name of the store in Strongsville, Ohio. And Shelly there ships. She has a floss tube channel as well. So, but this was a model in her shop, and it was just beautiful. I was there not to buy this. This was very much oh, let me get that and the fabric and too, along with everything else. So that is number one. Because this is a paper pattern and it's all backstitched, I decided to have my goal on this one be just to stitch on it for 7 days, which in all honesty might get me pretty close to being finished with it, if not totally finished. I guess it depends on how much stitching time I get in those 7 days. So that's number one on my board. Number two on my board is the Magic Kingdom Stitch Along. Hi, Katie. Happy to see you too. Is the Magic Kingdom Stitch Along, which was a free stitch along from Cunning Cross Stitch in 2021. I stayed on with it in January. I finished the January piece of it in January, and then it sort of went by the wayside. But it was a mystery stitch, so you didn't know what it was going to be. January was Ariel, the Little Mermaid. February was Alice in Wonderland. Then March was Snow White. And so you're sort of seeing this like, well, what is this thing turning into? And what it ended up turning into, I don't think I have the hard copy printout though, is, well, you can sort of see it here. So I think the last hard copy I have is September. But you can see it turned into Cinderella's Castle. So here's the bottom of the castle, and then after September, you started building up to these taller spires here, and the end result was Cinderella's Castle, made up of vignettes from all these different Disney animated films. So this is number two on my WIPGO board. I have January and February done, and I have March, the Snow White, I have it maybe halfway done, a little less than halfway. So my WIPGO goal is to finish March and then stitch April, which is the Lion King. So that's my WIPGO goal for number two. Sandra, you're so welcome. Yeah, same for you, same as me, right? Like I heard people talking about it and I kind of started to piece together like, oh, it's clearly some sort of thing for like your whips, but like a couple of people I watched, they kind of had the same goal for each of their projects. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Then I sort of did a little research and watched a few other people that mentioned like, oh, you can set whatever you want. So that's why you'll see I kind of, some of my goals repeat themselves, but others not so much. So that's number two, finish March and April on Magic Kingdom style. Number three on my board is the Move Forward in Love Stitch Along by Modern Folk Embroidery. And my goal for this one, this is a digital pattern, so this one's easier for me to keep track of. My goal for this one is 1,000 stitches. Which I'm hopefully not. I kind of figured if I can stitch 100, you know, right? So it's 2 numbers get drawn each month. Average of 30 days per month. I have like 15 days and 15 days, right? If I want to kind of break it down. Not that I have to work on one and then the other, but say, right, I have 15 days for each goal. So I figured 1,000 stitches, that's 100 stitches a day, I'd be done in 10 days. So I feel like 1,000 stitches is manageable. I guess I'll find out the first time one of my 1,000 stitch goals gets called. But my goal is 1,000 stitches on Move Forward in Love because I love this pattern. But I am doing the full color version, so it does go a little bit more slowly, especially in these outside motifs because you're changing your colors a lot. I have almost, so kind of this quadrant here, sort of the pattern is divided into 4 quadrants, right? So divide the full pattern into quarters, and that's basically a page, a page, a page, a page. So I have this first page almost done. So 1,000 stitches will definitely have me finish this first page and then be able to start whatever second page I want to move to next. So that is number 3 on my list. Whew, I better move faster or this live's going to go on forever, isn't it? But I appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with me. So that's number 3. Number 4, what did I do with my iPad? What did I do with my iPad? I lost my iPad, guys. Number 4 is Halloween Quaker, which I showed the pattern before. Seriously, I don't know what I did with my iPad. Whatever. I showed the pattern before. Here it is. I swear I'm an intelligent human being. I'll just show the pattern again, just as a reminder, I guess. Number 4 is Halloween Quaker. And again, it's a digital pattern. So my goal on that is 1,000 stitches, which on a 40 count fabric, I might be being too ambitious. But again, 1,000 stitches, I'll make some really good progress, right? So I'm going to go for it, right? Again, nothing happens if I don't do it, right? No cross stitch, please come and give me a ticket for not me reaching my goal. But I'm going to do my best to reach my goal. Number 5 is Hive Rules, which again, I already showed the pattern and that one's thrown on my floor somewhere, so I won't get it out again. But Hive Rules, oh, I put 1,000 stitches for that, but that's a paper pattern. I think I'll probably end up changing that to either 7 or 10 days as well, because there's no way I'm going to be able to keep track of the number of stitches. We'll just call that 10 days instead. So my goal there will be to stitch for that on 10 days. Number 6 on my board is Jingle All the Way by Little House Needleworks. And my goal for this, again, since it's a paper pattern, my goal for this one is to stitch on it for 7 days. And the reason why it's a little less is because right now I'm in the middle of this ginormous house. And I'm working on stitching the windows, like the window frames and sashings and things like that, so that I can get to the point where I can just fill in the white on the house. The way I stitch, as I mentioned before, I'm kind of a moody stitcher. So sometimes I'm in the mood for patterns that change colors a lot. Sometimes I'm in the mood for just give me a big block of the same color that I can just go. And of course, I have no idea what mood I'll be in when this number gets called. So I just said 7 days because I'm like, I could whip through this and get a ton done and then keep going, and that's fine. Or I could be in the mood where like the thought of sitting and stitching a bunch of white over and over again. Not that I can't go somewhere else on the pattern, right? But at the same time, I want to finish that house because it's like such a huge house. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but I chose 7 days just in case I'm like not in the mood to work on that giant house. So that's number 6 on my list. Number 7 on my WIPGO list is the Cats of Disney Stitch Along from Abby Sue Designs, which is another one that started in, I think, September of 2021. And I didn't really get much done, but this is the final chart. So it is 20 different cats from Disney and Pixar. I think Pixar. No, maybe not. Maybe they're all just straight up Disney. Cats. I love cats. I own 4 cats. Some of these I didn't know were cats, but apparently they are. Like Rufus. Did not know he was a cat. Now I do. So that's Rufus up here. The one who, quite frankly, looks like a schnauzer to me, but apparently he's a cat. And I don't even know what movie he's from. I'd have to look that up. If you know, let me know. So that is number 7 on my board. And my goal for that one is just so I only have Tigger done so far. See, I made great progress on this Sal. I only have Tigger done so far. So my goal is to stitch Simba next. And if I get more than that done, great. But my goal is to finish 1 cat. Next one, number 8 on the list. Oh, and I should have mentioned, let me go back a little bit. So this Jingle All the Way, actually, I forgot, was number 6. Number 6 was one of the numbers pulled yesterday. So I'll be stitching on this in January. So you'll see this if you watch my floss tube regularly, you will see this in my update videos in January because I'll be working on it. All right, number 8 on my list is this pattern, Positively Bedeviled by Casey Cross Stitch on Etsy. This is a quote from Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek. I'm positively bedeviled with meetings, and I need to get this done. I started this in November of 2021, and really, like, there's no reason I shouldn't have this done. Like, I think when I was working on it last, I was working on the wreath around, and I was in one of my moods where I didn't want to be changing colors a whole bunch, and you kind of have to change colors a whole bunch. So I kind of stopped working on it. So my goal for this one is to stitch on it for 10 days, which, quite frankly, if I get some good stitching time in those 10 days, I can finish this. Easy peasy. Number 8, or no, that was number 8. Number 9 on my list is from the Autumn Garden palette, X Stitch the Rainbow, Happy Fall Y'all by Sweet Wing Studio. And my goal for this one is to finish it because I have Happy Fall, yeah, I think I have like the first L started. And then I have several of these little floral motifs around and a good chunk of the border done already. So again, with 10 or 15 days to work on it, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to finish this, which will be nice. So that is number 9 on my list. Number 10 on my list is also the other number that was called for January. And this is another digital chart, another Lila Studio. This is Nevermore by Lila Studio. Love it. I love Poe. I love the Raven. I know if you watch my channel, you've heard me say that before, but I absolutely love this pattern. This is also my first ever 1/1 pattern. So I'm very excited. I basically have like 45 stitches in this lower corner done, and that's it. So my goal for this one is to stitch on it for 7 days. But actually I'm going to change that. I don't know why I put 7 days. It's a digital pattern. I'm going to go big or go home, right? I'm going to say 1,000 stitches. Why not? Right? Because I know it'll be unlikely that I will have this ready for the upcoming Halloween season, but wouldn't it be awesome if I did have it done? Because he's just awesome. Love it. And I am using the Forbidden Fiber Company floss conversion for this pattern. So that is number 10 on my list, which, as I mentioned, was also called in January. So you will see progress on that in my January videos. Number 11 on my list is In All Things Give Thanks by Lizzie Kate, which is this pattern here. I started this in November of this year. I got the center square done, except for I have a little bit of the border left. So I still have a good chunk of this one left to do. And my goal on this one is to stitch on it for 10 days, which again, if I can get good stitching time, I could probably finish it or come really close. Number 12 is Here Be Dragons, which I showed earlier, the Modern Folk Embroidery Here Be Dragons pattern. And my goal for that is to stitch on it for 10 days. Then number 13 on a normal bingo board, we're now in the center square. And some people have that be a free space. I chose to let that be a new start. Just cause, why not? So when number 13 gets called, I will start Pumpkin Kisses. So my understanding is, because some people use it as a free space, whenever number 13 gets called, Jessie actually draws another number. So the month that 13 gets called, 3 numbers actually get called. Which is kind of why I chose a very simple, small pattern, because I could just kind of get it started, and I could still make some good progress on it, but still be able to focus on the goals for my whips that are called as well. So this is Pumpkin Kisses by Primrose Cottage Stitches. This is number 13 on my board. It will be a new start for me. Number 14 is When Witches Go Riding by Tiny Modernist. And my goal on this one is 1,000 stitches. It is a paper pattern, but I scanned it, and so I have it digitally in my Markup RXP app. So this one's a stitch count goal because I love this pattern and I really, really want to get it done. But it's huge, so it's going to take a while. So that is my goal, 1,000 stitches on When Witches Go Riding. Number 15 on my list is yet another Halloween pattern. I like Halloween, autumn and Halloween. This is Haunted Fur by Kit and Bixby. And my goal for this one is 10 days. I won't finish it in 10 days. I really only have, I have these 3 pumpkins here done. I have this cat stitched. I have part of this cat stitched. I have the rear end of this cat stitched, and I have the bottom of the word haunted stitched. So there's still a lot left on this pattern, but 10 days should be really good progress. This is on an Aida fabric, so it stitches really quickly. So yeah, so that is number 15 on my list. Number 16 on my list is the Haunted Library, which I know I showed earlier, but since it's right here on my iPad, I'll pull it up again. And again, because it's a digital pattern, my goal is 1,000 stitches on this. This is such a dense pattern. I feel like 1,000 stitches might not even make a dent in like the totality of the pattern, but that's okay. We'll keep working on it. Number 17 on my list is one I almost didn't put on, but I did. So it's the Ohio Statehood Splendor that I showed earlier as part of my 12 by 12. And my thinking was if I finish it on New Year's Eve, then I'll just find something else to put in the number 17 square. So I'll put one of my other New Year's Eve starts or something because they'll be whips by then. But so number 17 is Ohio Statehood Splendor. And my goal is to finish it. Like if I don't finish it during my hour on New Year's Eve, I'll be so close that there's no reason it shouldn't be finished once it gets called for WIPGO. So that is number 17. These next few are all ones that I just showed in my New Year's Eve 12 by 12. So I won't get the patterns back out. I'll just run through them pretty quickly. So as I said, 17 is Ohio. Finish that one. Number 18 is the Needleworker, the snowman from Cottage Garden Samplings. And my goal is to stitch on him for 6 days. Number 19 is that Firework Kisses. Again, this is another one that I almost didn't put on my board because I thought, ooh, I might finish it on New Year's Eve. So if I do, I'll pick something else. If I don't, then my goal for WIPGO is to finish it because it's so close. Number 20 on my board is the Reindeer, Cottage Garden Samplings, and my goal is to stitch on it for 6 days. Number 21 on my list is this Grow Through What You Go Through pattern, which I got out of Contemporary Cross Stitch Collection magazine. And I started it in May of 2022 as part of the Mental Health Awareness Month. And my goal for this is to stitch on it for 7 days, which should get me pretty close to having it done. I probably won't finish it in 7 stitching sessions or 7 days, but I'll get close. So that is Grow Through What You Go Through. Number 22 on my list is Hope Angel by, I can never pronounce this company's name, Hinzite? I'm going to say it's Hinzite. Why not? Hinzite. I don't know. Anyway, this is Hope Angel by them. And I started this on October 9th of 2022 and really only worked on it just that day. So again, this has a lot of room. But again, like so many others, it's not very large. It's 93 by 48. So my goal here is to stitch on her for 7 days. And I feel like in 7 days, I can make some really good progress on her. So that is number 22 on my list. 3 more. 23 is Spring Dragon by Ingleside Imaginarium. Again, this was my birthday start this year. So, and I stitched on him on my birthday and then like one other day. I have like a little bit of this dark pink at the bottom of his wing done, and that's about it. You can't even tell it's a dragon. So my goal is to stitch on this for 7 days. And number 24 is sort of an interesting one. So 24 is Friendship Basket by Hello from Liz Matthews. And this was a free chart that she put out at the beginning of last summer. So I can show the pattern. But the really cool idea behind this chart was, as it says at the top of the pattern, a cross-stitch design celebrating friendships within the community. And she did a whole video about it, but basically the idea behind this was that the owner of the pattern, right, the owner of the chart, so me, I would stitch this basket and the border and the 2022, which I haven't done yet. I stitched the basket and part of the border. And then when you go to retreats or you circulate it around people somehow, you ask people you meet at retreats, new friends, new stitchy friends that you make, to stitch a motif into your basket. So she offers some sample patterns of little flowers, hearts, things like that. Or people can just stitch whatever you want. And the idea is they can choose a color if they like, or they can just stitch with whatever currently is on their needle. And so I took this to StitchCon with me in 2022, thinking I was going to get all these baskets, right? Because it's like 300 people there. Like, certainly I'll meet, I don't know, at least 40 or 50 people, which I did, but I kept forgetting to like walk around with my basket. So like, I think literally the last morning, I kind of went around to a few people. I still got like 12 or 13. But that's kind of where it ended. And so what I still need to do is do the top border. But what I wanted to do was somehow commemorate that this was specifically StitchCon. Not like I don't know that, but one of the things we got at StitchCon, we got several sort of exclusive free charts at StitchCon. And one of them was 2 different versions of the StitchCon logo. In a perfect world, and I'm going to apologize in advance if you also watch my whip parade. I explained this in my whip parade as well, so you're going to hear it twice. But I was hoping that the logo would fit within the width of my friendship basket piece. Of course it doesn't. So I have to either tweak it or I have to chart it and then stitch it and then finish it all off because I really want to have it done. So my goal, it went on my WIPGO board to force myself to do this because I have sat down to do it a couple different times and then, I don't know, I guess I was just lazy or I got overwhelmed by sort of the prospect of having to finagle with this chart. So I put it on my WIPGO board. I'm gonna make myself do it whenever it gets called. My goal is to chart the StitchCon logo or some sort of, even if it's my own logo design, some sort of something that says StitchCon 2022, stitch it and finish off that piece. So that's my goal, chart that and finish it. And that is number 24 on my WIPGO board. And then number 25 on my WIPGO board is my pumpkin spice everything nice that I showed as part of my New Year's Eve 12 by 12. And my goal for that one is to finish it because if you'll recall, I don't know where it went. I won't even try to find it. You'll be looking at the back of my head for like 3 minutes. It's mostly words. It's a couple of small motifs. I think between an hour on New Year's Eve and then 10 to 15 days when it gets called a WIPGO, there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to finish it. So that is my goal. So if I meet all of my goals, I have a feeling that I can probably actually finish of the 24, right? Because my number 13 is a new start. Of the 24 whips on my WIPGO board, really I can probably finish, if I meet all of my goals, I bet I can finish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can probably finish 6 to 8 of them. So that's pretty exciting. That's what, a third of the ones on my board. That's a pretty good rate. So that's my WIPGO board. And I'll be sharing progress as I go throughout the year, obviously on my FlossTube channel. And that's really all that I had planned for today. And we're coming up on almost an hour. So I think I won't do any like stitch with me right now. I really appreciate those of you who are still here. I hope that you enjoyed seeing my plans. If you're new to my channel, if you just sort of stumbled upon this live and thought you'd check me out, I hope that you will subscribe and continue to come back and visit in the new year. I'll be looking for my whip parade video. Like I said, I'll plan to post that probably on Friday, December 30th. And you'll get to see sort of all of my whips, and those I will show sort of where I'm at on each one and a little bit more information about each of them. And then we'll go into the new year. So thank you so much for those of you who checked out my very first YouTube live. I hope it went smoothly. I hope that you enjoyed yourself. I know I wasn't really able to sort of chat back with you, but I tried to acknowledge chats as they came in. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate you spending some time with me. And Those of you who have been celebrating holidays this time of year, I hope that you have been able to celebrate them in the way that you desire with the people you care most about. I know most of us here in the United States have been dealing with some pretty crazy weather. So if you have as well, I hope that you are staying warm, that you and your loved ones have been safe in this wild weather that we have been having. And if I don't see you before the new year, right? The way we talk on FlossTube, see you. I hope that you have a fabulous, safe, fun-filled New Year's Eve celebration, and I will see you in 2023. Thank you so much for spending some of your, what is today, Monday? Your Monday afternoon with me, and I will hopefully see you soon. Bye-bye.